I compare myself to others. And you might think that that's a bad thing, but I think you should too. My name is Evan Davidson, and I'm a professional photographer from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Over the past 6 years, I've learned many useful lessons within the medium, but the one I find most useful is the ability to turn why I can't into why can't I. It was easy to get discouraged when I started out. I was 14 years old with my first digital SLR camera that I bought with some confirmation money in the hopes of becoming a professional photographer. The first photograph I captured was simple. I had a friend throw a rock into a pond, and then I would capture the moment right when the rock broke the surface, creating this glass-like image. I thought the photograph was incredible, but when I showed it to other, more experienced photographers, they would show me something from their portfolio that they thought was better. They would correct me on my framing and my techniques, and initially when I compared myself to them, it made me want to give up, because it's discouraging to hear criticism, especially when you first started out. However, I kept at it. Instead of asking myself why I can't, I decided to ask, why can't I? People are just inherently better at us than at some things, whether it's someone who can lift more weight at the gym or somebody who is better at a musical instrument. It's discouraging, and it can affect our self-esteem. However, if we compare ourselves to this person, these people with the intent of using them as an incentive or a positive example, that's different. Instead of asking yourself, why I can't, ask, why can't I? Figure out why you're not at that stage of the goal, and then make a plan to get there. When I started shooting photos, I would constantly log on to social media and see photographers with cooler techniques, better framing, more interesting subject matter, but I didn't let this discourage me. I decided to ask, why can't I shoot like that? This was a defining moment in my career, and the lesson has stayed with me to this day. So that summer, I had a part-time job, and when I wasn't working, I was on my bike, riding around Lancaster and shooting photos. When I wasn't shooting, I was editing, and when I wasn't editing, I was reading tutorial books or watching videos online. I did this because I knew I wanted to be the best that I could be. There were countless times where I was up until 4 in the morning just dedicated to the process of improving, because this is what I knew I had to do if I wanted to improve. Nothing in life is handed to you. That summer, I shot 111,000 photographs. I was able to turn those 3 months of shooting into a developmental experience instead of shying away from the challenge. So, about a year into shooting, I started getting inquiries for photo shoots, people wanting senior and family portraits as well as headshots. By the time I was 16, I had developed kind of a steady enough workflow where I decided to sit down and flesh out a business plan. I had to assess a lot of different things like bookkeeping, insurance, taxes, and so much more, but I was happy to do it because with initiative, the busy work seems negligible. By the time I was 17, I had built a client base including a Fortune 500 company, but the client that I'm most proud of is actually a magazine where I got my first national publication, which just so happened to be a photograph of the President of the United States. I was actually at the event for another publication, but I was able to submit my photos to the magazine and get the publication. Without my initiative to start a business, I would have never made the connections to enable this possibility. How many times have you passed off your roadblocks because you say you can't do something because of something? I can't go for a run today because it's raining, or I can't get this promotion because I don't feel qualified, or even I can't start a photography business, I'm just 16. Instead of asking why I can't, ask why can't I? Because without trying, you can't fail, and without failing, you'll never learn the lessons necessary to achieve your goals. Look at every roadblock as an opportunity to use creative problem solving instead of shying away from the challenge. It might be difficult, but it's a lot better than not trying at all. So through some connections I had made over the past few years, I met Randy, one of the staff photographers at the Creation Music Festival. He told me about the position, and it sounded incredible. Just being able to shoot all day and edit all night, it immediately sounded like something I'd want to do. So I told him that I was interested in applying for the position, and he got me in contact with some of the staff members over at Creation, and they told me all I had to do was submit my concert portfolio. The only problem was I didn't have a concert portfolio. I hadn't shot any concerts. But so I went onto the website and looked at photos from the past photographers, and they were just absolutely incredible. Initially, when I compared myself to them, I thought that they could shoot better than I ever could. But instead of seeing that as a deterrent, I made it a challenge. How was I going to take the steps and get that good? I knew that the only way I'd be able to shoot a show would be to get a press pass. So I would reach out to local venues in Lancaster and Philadelphia, sending them emails and asking if I could shoot the shows for free in exchange for a press pass. I rarely got responses, but when I did, it was, we already have a staff photographer, or we're not going to be able to offer you that opportunity. I sent emails for like 3 weeks before, and I still didn't get any responses. So I informed Randy about my dilemma, and he told me that he gave me a flyer to a house show for singer Chelsea Berry over in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. The venue had asked him to shoot for the show, but he gave me the flyer because he felt that the opportunity would be better for me and it would help me build my portfolio. He also told me about a performance at the American Music Theater for the band The Oak Ridge Boys. So little did I know that this would kick off what I still refer to as Music Week, a week where in 7 days, I shot 6 different artists, got strep throat, completely embarrassed myself in front of a well-known Southern gospel band, broke a camera lens, built my entire creation portfolio, and somehow got into a 21 and over show when I was just 18. Music Week started off on a Monday at the house show in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. While I was there and while the artist was performing, I accidentally dropped a camera lens down the stairs, which completely interrupted the entire show. And it was really embarrassing, but this taught me to roll with the punches. I had my first concert under my belt, and I was ready to take on the rest of the week. The next 3 nights, I shot for 3 different bands. I persisted through these nights, even though I had strep throat, and I would have much rather preferred to be sleeping. But by Thursday, I was feeling better, and by Friday, I skipped school and I headed to, I was sick from school, and I headed down to Maryland for an unrelated video shoot. However, this was the day that I heard back from American Music Theater. I'd gotten permission from the venue to shoot for the Oak Ridge Boys, but I had to get permission from their tour manager via phone call. Now, this should not have been a problem, but I definitely made it one when I accidentally referred to them as the Oak Street Boys. Yeah. The only person that thought that was funny was my dad, who was driving the car, so. Yeah. Due to the travel time, we ended up staying the night in Maryland, and I decided to reach out to a local bar and see if I could shoot photos for a performance they had. They said it was cool, but when I showed up to the door, the bouncer asked me for my ID, and I was just 18 at the time, so I couldn't get in. So I just told him, I'm with the band, and he let me in. So. Yeah, so that night I shot for the bar, and then the next night I shot photos for the Oak Ridge Boys. By rising above my circumstances, lack of experience, and other perceived roadblocks, I was able to accomplish my goals. I'm now one of the house photographers at the American Music Theater, and I'm actually a staff photographer at Creation as well. I compare myself to others, and that might seem like a bad thing, but you should too. If there is someone where you want to be at in life, compare yourself to them. Learn from them, be motivated by them, and then put that newfound knowledge into action. Turn why I can into why can't I. Thank you.